Please be seated. Welcome everyone to our 9th Carols on Campus on this beautiful and very warm Adelaide night. My name's Professor Jenny Shaw and I'm the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Arts here at the University of Adelaide. Tonight it's my great pleasure to co-host Carols on Campus alongside Daniel Connolly, a University of Adelaide doctoral scholar. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm honoured and delighted to co-host Carols with you this evening. As is the tradition of Carols on Campus, tonight's program will include Christmas music, traditional carols and a wide range of Christmas readings read by university staff.
To begin, I would like to acknowledge the Kaurna people, the original custodians of the land on which the University of Adelaide's campuses are built, here on North Terrace and at Waite and at Roseworthy. I would also like to pay special mention to those watching online in Adelaide and around the world. And we hope you enjoy this evening's event as much as I'm sure we will here in beautiful Bonython Hall. I would like to thank our soloist for once in Royal David City, Imogen Token, a student of the Elder Conservatorium of Music, who has started us off in fine style tonight.
Thank you also to our resident Carols on Campus organist, Carl Geiger, sitting upstairs, a University of Adelaide graduate and staff member. Thank you, Carl. And a big welcome to our conductor for this evening, Associate Professor Carl Crossan, OAM, who is Head of Voice, Opera, Conducting and Ensembles at the wonderful Elder Conservatorium. Our Carols on Campus service is inspired by the Christmas traditions of other universities around the globe, including King's College at Cambridge, but with a distinct Adelaide feel and a wonderful blend of secular and sacred, reflecting the diversity of our own university community.
Carols on Campus provides the ideal opportunity for the university to celebrate this special time of year with the community, while showcasing our stunning Bonython Hall and staff, student and alumni readers and musicians. Our first reading tonight will be brought to us by the University of Adelaide's Chancellor, Rear Admiral the Honourable Kevin Scarce, AC, CSC, RAN, retired. Kevin joined the university in 2014, having previously served our state with great esteem as the 34th Governor of South Australia. Chancellor, I invite you to give the first Carols on Campus reading for 2018, a much-loved favourite, Yes, Virginia, There is a Santa Claus, written in 1897.
Thanks, Jenny. So in 1897, Virginia learnt from her father that if she wrote a letter to the local newspaper called The Sun, she could be assured that there was a Santa Claus and that this would be the reply from the newspaper. Yes, Virginia, there is Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist, and you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would the world be without Santa Claus? It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith, no poetry, no romance to make this existence tolerable. We should have no enjoyment except in sight and sense. The external light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. Not believe in Santa Claus? You might as well not believe in fairies. The most real things in this world are those that neither children nor men can see. Did you ever see fairies dancing at the bottom of the lawn? Of course not, but that's no proof that they're not there. Nobody can convince or imagine all the wonders that are unseen and unseeable in this world. You may tear apart a baby's rattle and see what makes the noise inside, but there is a veil covering the unseen world which is not the strongest man, nor even the united strength of all the strong men that ever lived could tear apart. Only faith, fancy, poetry, love and romance can push aside that curtain and let us picture the beauty and the glory beyond. It's all real. Virginia, in all this world, there is nothing else more real and abiding. No Santa Claus, he lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 1,000 years from now, Santa Claus will continue to make glad the heart of childhood.
Thank you, Chancellor. What a terrific way to kick off carols for this year. It is now time for our second carol. May I invite you all to please stand for O Come All Ye Faithful. Wow, you all sound absolutely incredible this evening. The next reading is from our Deputy Chancellor, the Honourable Catherine Branson ACQC, who is also one of our most prominent legal graduates. This year, Cathy received the Companion of the Order of Australia Award for her eminent service to the judiciary as a judge of the Federal Court of Australia, to the law as an advocate for human rights and civil liberties, to judicial administration and professional development, and to governance roles in tertiary education. Tonight, Cathy will bring us our second reading, The Carol of the Birds, which is an original Australian Christmas carol. Please join me in welcoming Cathy.
Thank you, Daniel. Out on the plains, the brogers are dancing, lifting their feet like war horses prancing. Up to the sun, the woodlarks go winging. Faint in the dawn light echoes their singing. Arana, Arana, Arana to Christmas Day. Down where the tree ferns grow by the river, there where the waters sparkle and quiver, deep in the gullies, bellbirds are chiming, softly and sweetly their lyric notes rhyming. Arana, Arana, Arana to Christmas Day. Friarbirds sip the nectar of flowers, currawongs chant in wattle tree bowers. In the blue ranges, lorikeets calling, carols of bushbirds rising and falling. Arana, Arana, Arana to Christmas Day.
Thank you, Cathy. Now, will everyone please stand and sing at the top of your voices the next carol, We Three Kings. Now it's time to welcome the magnificent Elder Conservatorium Chorale to perform one of the most well-known traditional Christmas songs sung around the world, Silent Night. As you can see, they'll be joined by Emma Horde on the harp. Emma's an Elder Conservatorium graduate. Please welcome the chorale.
The wonderful chorale. What a delight it is to hear them sing so beautifully. And thank you, Emma, for that gentle and beautiful sound of the harp. As Jenny mentioned, I'm a student here at the University of Adelaide. I'm doing my PhD between engineering and entrepreneurship, looking at how we can plan to make cities more sustainable. Christmas is celebrated in lots of different countries and cultures. Regardless of religion, billions of people all over the world enjoy celebrating this special holiday in December. I've been privileged enough to take my studies to a number of countries, and I think this reading really highlights the amazing diversity that exists around the world and some of the wonderful ways that Christmas is being celebrated. The reading is called Christmas Around the World. Diplomats reveal how they celebrate the festive season. So in December 2016, radio station 666 ABC Canberra asked a number of foreign ambassadors, high commissioners and embassy staff what Christmas meant to them. Their responses, comparable to the experience of unwrapping a Christmas present, were all pleasantly surprising. The following are a series of excerpts from that story that detail how diverse and unique different countries' traditions and cultures are at this time of year. So despite many Australians celebrating Christmas on December the 25th, in Denmark, Danes predominantly celebrate Christmas on the evening of December the 24th. Ole Neustrup, the deputy head of mission for the Royal Danish Embassy in Canberra, said December was an eventful month for him, filled with gatherings involving friends and family. He said the entire house will be filled with this familiar smell of roast duck, pork roast, red cabbage, caramelised potatoes, and of course the gravy. After this, everyone sings Christmas carols whilst walking hand in hand around the tree, which by now will have lit candles all over it. Mr. Neustrup said Danes also continued to celebrate Christmas on December the 25th and December the 26th. The tradition is to once again gather your family, or by this time perhaps your spouse's family, and enjoy the traditional Christmas luncheon foods: pickled herrings, salmon, battered fish, fillets, shrimp, caviar, eggs, liver, sausages and much more, all with typical Danish rye bread, of course. Over in Colombia, instead of Santa, baby Jesus is the one who brings the presents to children. Maria Teresa Mendoza from the Colombian Embassy said children write and leave the letters to baby Jesus with their wishes for Christmas at the manger. From there, the letters mysteriously disappear, creating great excitement. While the Danes start early on the 24th, Colombians commence their celebrations on December the 7th for Noche de Velitas, which translates to Night of the Candles, and I thank you all for your tolerance of my pronunciation. She said, families gather together to light up candles and paper lanterns, placing them on windowsills and balconies and decorating parks and roads. That night, families and friends share traditional food such as buñuelos, which is round fried dough. And if you live in Bogota, the capital of the country, you accompany those with a big mug of hot chocolate. Moving to the Philippines, Christmas lasts a little longer again. H.E. Minda Calaguan Cruz, the Philippine ambassador to Australia, said her country boasted the longest Christmas celebration in the world. Christmas decorations adorn houses and public places all over the Philippines, starting as early as September and lasting until January. In San Fernando, Pampanga in the Philippines, a giant parole or lantern festival is held where villagers compete by displaying their biggest, most colourful and most creative lanterns. These lanterns are 20 feet high with a minimum of 10,000 lights. Various lanterns are seen all over the country, signifying light for hope and are iconic images of Christmas for Filipinos. On Christmas Eve, or Noche Buena, Filipino families come together for a large festive meal, which usually includes roasted whole pig as the highlight of the Filipino dishes, followed by gift giving. Christmas Day is a more quiet celebration, with the family spending time together with friends and guests coming in and out from house to house to greet each other. And last but not least, the United States, for which James Caruso is chargé d'affaires for the US Embassy in Canberra. Mr. Caruso said regardless of faith, Christmas was a time of year when American families gathered together to share each other's company, goodwill and delicious food. Some of Mr. Caruso's fondest memories of Christmas are from New York City. Mr. Caruso said every Christmas my parents, brother and I would walk along Fifth Avenue to see all the shop windows and marvel at the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. He said he especially remembers visiting the most magical place of all, the FAO Schwartz toy store. This store was every child's Christmas fantasy come true. And I'm sure there are lots of excited children here tonight, and I think a common thread across all of those countries is the delicious food, which gets me excited for Christmas too. I now invite you to stand for our next carol, Little Drummer Boy. In this carol, Thomas Chalker will join us on side drum.
Thank you, Thomas. That was lovely. Next on the program is a reading by Celine McEnany, General Counsel and Director of Legal and Risk here at the University of Adelaide. Celine is also a law graduate from the University of Adelaide. And tonight, Celine will bring us the lyrics to the Paul Kelly song, How to Make Gravy. Welcome, Celine.
Hello, Dan. It's Jo here. I hope you're keeping well. It's the 21st of December, and now they're ringing the last bells. If I get good behaviour, I'll be out of here by July. Won't you kiss my kids on Christmas Day? And please, don't let them cry for me. I guess the brothers are driving down from Queensland, and Stella's flying in from the coast. They say it's going to be 100 degrees, even more maybe, but that won't stop the roast. Who's going to make the gravy now? I bet it won't taste the same. Just add flour, salt, a little red wine, and don't forget a dollop of tomato sauce for sweetness and that extra tang. And give my love to Angus and to Frank and Dolly. Tell them all I'm sorry I screwed up this time. And please, look after Rita. I'll be thinking of her early Christmas morning when I'm standing here in line. I hear Mary's got a new boyfriend. I hope he can hold his own. Do you remember the last one? What was his name again? Just a little bit too much cologne. And Roger. You know, I'm even going to miss Roger, because there's sure as hell no one in here I want to fight. Oh, praise the baby Jesus. Have a Merry Christmas. I'm really going to miss it. All the treasure and the trash. And later in the evening, I can just imagine you'll put on Junior Mervyn and push the tables back and you'll dance with Rita. I know you really like her. Just don't hold her too close. Oh, brother, please don't stab me in the back. I didn't mean to say that. It's just that my mind plays it up, multiplies each matter, and turns imagination into fact. You know I love her badly. She's the one to save me. I'm going to make some gravy. I'm going to taste the fat. Oh, tell her that I'm sorry. Yeah, I love her badly. Tell them all I'm sorry, and kiss the sleepy children for me. You know, one of these days, I'll be making gravy. I'll be making plenty, and I'm going to pay them all back.
Thank you, Celine. What a poignant piece for this time of the year. Now, please welcome back the chorale, who will sing O Magnum Mysterium, and they'll be performing again with Emma on the harp, and Carl tells me it is a hot night. The harp may need a little retune, so it isn't starting in an odd way. It may just be a bit of tuning before we get going.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, one more time for the wonderful Elder Conservatorium chorale. Our next reading is by Professor Melissa Deswart, Dean of Law and Head of the Adelaide Law School. This is Melissa's first time at Carroll's on campus. Welcome, Melissa. We are very delighted to have her as part of this year's program. For all the children and young people in our audience tonight, Melissa will bring us the classic Dr. Seuss story about the Grinch who planned on ruining Christmas. Please join me in welcoming Melissa.
Thank you, Daniel. It was 4:15. All the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall, the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Welcome Christmas, bring your cheer, cheer to all who are far and near. Welcome Christmas while we stand heart to heart and hand in hand.
Thank you, Melissa. The Grinch is one of my all-time favourites, and it's always a delight to hear how he discovers, a little slowly, the true meaning of Christmas. Now, I'd love you all to stand and sing our next carol, Away in a Manger. Our next reading is brought to us by James Kitching, who is the president of the Young Alumni Network. James is also the father of 3-year-old Leo, and so we've asked him to read us the delightful children's story, My First Santa is Coming to Adelaide, which is especially for all the children here tonight and listening online. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Jenny. Thankfully we're streaming it online because my son is actually fast asleep in the second row, just in front of us. My first Santa is coming to Adelaide. It's Christmas Eve and Santa is loading up his sleigh. He's heading to Adelaide and he must be on his way. He tugs upon the reindeer reins and shouts, "It's time to fly." The reindeer all start running and they race into the sky. He turns around to his helper elf and says, "Jump in the back. I've got a special present and it's somewhere in my sack." "Is it this one?" the elf calls out. "It's very small and round." "That's for a dog," laughs Santa Claus, "a ball to throw around." "Could this be it?" he asks again. "A box that's big and blue." "No, that one's got bananas in it, a present for the zoo." "Ah, yes, I think I found it now. It's orange and it's squishy." "I think you'll find that's for the cat. That's why it smells so fishy." And then the elf finds something else and holds it in the air. And Santa bellows, "Ho, ho, ho, that's my spare underwear." The elf pulls out a big red box tied with an orange bow. "Well done," says Santa, "that's the one. Now hold on, down we go." The sleigh arrives in Adelaide where, as quiet as a mouse, the special gift's delivered. Can you guess where? Of course, to your house. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So the chorale and Carl will now bring us A Babe is Born.
Thank you, Chorale. Another beautiful performance. Christmas is a special time of year that brings with it many wonderful traditions and family celebrations. A tradition of our Carols on Campus service is our gifting tree in the foyer of the Bonython Hall. Many of you tonight will have placed under the gifting tree a gift for a child currently supported by the Smith family. Thank you for your generosity. The Smith family is a national, independent children's charity committed to helping disadvantaged Australian children by unlocking opportunities through education and learning. For many years, the University of Adelaide has had close connections with the Smith family through a range of different programs. This year, we have two very special guests with us tonight at the Carols. Richard Melville, who is the regional manager from the Smith family here in Adelaide, and Dennis Amamovic, who has been a recipient of the Smith Family Scholarship Program since 2001. Dennis is now a Smith Family Student Ambassador and is in his final year of a Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering degree with honours at the University of Adelaide. The Smith family have supported Dennis throughout his educational journey, and so tonight we've asked Richard and Dennis to share with us just what it will mean for families who receive the support of the Smith family this Christmas and throughout the year. Please join me in welcoming first Richard and then Dennis to share their stories.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. My name's Richard Melville. I'm the Smith Family's Regional Programs Manager for South Australia. And it's wonderful to be here tonight celebrating Christmas with you all. I'd also like to acknowledge our host for this evening, the University of Adelaide. Thank you for inviting me. We have a fantastic relationship with the university, from their support for our toy and book appeal. The gifting tree, as Dan mentioned, has many fabulous gifts donated under it at the moment. There's volunteering for our programs and events and partnering on programs such as our learning clubs and the Children's University. And if you don't know about the Children's University, I encourage you all to visit the Adelaide University website to have a look. As many of you may be aware, the Smith family supports disadvantaged young Australians with learning and mentoring programs that help them to make the most of their school years so they can go on to higher education, further training, or a job. We've been supporting South Australian families for the past 24 years and families across Australia for 96 years. In this time, we've made many changes to ensure that we're providing the kind of support that provides a lasting positive change for our families. Personally, I've been with the Smith family for over a decade now, and I'm still in awe at the work my teams do with families and schools in the communities we work in. We're currently partnered with 65 schools across the state because we know that education can change a child's outcomes. When I started in 2007, we were sponsoring just under 2,000 South Australian students. This year, we will be sponsoring over 4,500 students and supporting a further 10,000 students through our education-based programs. Most importantly, we are making a real difference to many students who just need that bit of extra help to keep them at school, so they can have the same opportunities that many of us take for granted. Our Christmas appeal is one which is very close to our hearts. The Smith family was started on Christmas Eve in 1922, when 5 businessmen got together and gave toys to kids at a local orphanage. They wanted to remain anonymous, so when asked their name, they replied, Smith. Christmas can be a difficult time for our families, and so in addition to raising funds for our education support programs, we are proud to continue the tradition of delivering toys and books to more than 3,000 children across South Australia who might otherwise not get much this Christmas. Children and young people are at the very heart of our work, and I've seen firsthand over many years now the joy it brings to children who would otherwise be going without. We're thrilled that so many generous South Australians continue to get behind this effort to share their Christmas giving and help these children look forward to a better new year. Now, if you'd like to know more, I'd encourage you all to visit our website, but I'm not going to give you any more facts and figures because this year we've decided to bring one of our students along, Dennis. He's a Smith family student and a University of Adelaide student, and he is going to tell you firsthand how he and his family have been supported by the Smith family. Please join me in welcoming Dennis.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you to Daniel as well. I would like to thank all of the guests and academics here tonight for allowing me a few minutes of your time to speak about my story. By telling you about my story, I hope to highlight the great work the Smith family does. 22 years ago, my family fled Bosnia following the war which occurred there between 1992 and 1995. We arrived in Australia with nothing but the hopes to build a better life. My name is Denis Imamovic, and I'm an undergraduate mechanical and aerospace engineering student here at the University of Adelaide. This year, I and 2 other aerospace engineering students completed our honours project. I'm proud to say that through our hard work, we received the Best Aerospace Engineering Award at Ingenuity 2018. I speak to all of you tonight as a Smith family student ambassador. It's been a long road to get to where I am today, and I know that I still have a long journey to go as a lifelong learner. I would like to share with all of you what role the Smith family has played in my life and how their support has enabled me to get to where I am today as a young professional. Before I start, please allow me to share with you some statistics regarding the cycle of disadvantage which many Australian children and young people are stuck in today. According to the Smith family, more than 1.1 million Australian children and young people are raised in poverty. Those receiving support from the Smith family all live in low-income families, and more than 70% have a parent or caregiver who is not in paid employment. These few statistics highlight the issue of the cycle of disadvantage, a cycle which the Smith family is working to break. In 1996, my family and I arrived in Australia as refugees. Having fled the war in Bosnia, my family had no money upon arriving to Australia. And in 2001, my mother decided to enroll me into the Smith family's Learning for Life program. This scholarship allowed me to afford items such as stationery, exercise books, school fees, and school uniforms. These were essential to me as they were the tools which allowed me to progress as a student. As I commenced my tertiary education, the Smith family offered me the opportunity to apply for their tertiary scholarship program, to which I became a successful recipient. I'm proud to say that the Smith family has supported me throughout my tertiary education. Their support has allowed me to afford much of the same items as throughout my early education, but I could also afford to purchase the necessary textbooks for all of my courses. In addition to this, I could also afford to pay the university amenities fee each semester, along with affording the cost of public transport to and from university. What seem like small, insignificant expenses to a lot of us here tonight are not so small to the families of the 1.1 million Australian children and young people simply trying to get a decent education. These expenses can and often do affect the quality of living for many of these families. I was extremely fortunate to have parents who made it their mission to ensure that I receive a good education so that I may have a brighter future. I was extremely fortunate that a non-for-profit organisation like the Smith family existed during my early years. I'm grateful that they continue to exist and expand their influence on Australian children and young people who are growing up with less than what they need to receive a decent education. Today, I'm a Smith family student ambassador, but it wasn't that long ago that I was dependent on their support so that I could simply receive a decent education. We all know that Christmas is a time of family and giving. However, for some Australian families, the family part of that statement is all that they can afford. After leaving this venue tonight, I would like to request that all of you spare a thought for the 1.1 million Australian children and young people growing up in poverty. I may have presented them as statistics here tonight, but these are people, real people. They are somebody's son, daughter, brother, or sister. They all have the right to receive a fair education. Consider after tonight's proceedings if you could make a difference to the life of a young Australian growing up with less than what they need to have a bright future. It was not that long ago when somebody was generous enough to decide to make a difference to the future of the young Australians standing before you tonight. I would like to once again express my gratitude to all of you for allowing me to take a few minutes of your time to present to you a real story of how great work can change one life. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Richard, for both of you for sharing your stories with us. And as Richard said, if you'd like to know more about the Smith family and their programs, please visit their website. It's all one word, thesmithfamily.com.au. Now it's time to stand and sing at the tops of your voices, Joy to the World. That was an amazing sound, thank you. Now, sadly, we're almost at the end of our 2018 Carols on Campus program, but what a great night. I'd like to leave you with our final reading that celebrates the joy of Christmas. It's a popular Christmas song written by Edward Paula and George Wiley, and it was first made popular by the singer Andy Williams. It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle-belling and everyone telling you, be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with those holiday greetings and happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and carolling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So to take us out tonight, we will hear again from our wonderful, talented Elder Conservatorium Chorale, who will perform Almawara Auriwo Tamwa. So I didn't get my tongue around that after all, Carl. A Nigerian carol that more simply translates as "For unto us a child is born." And I would then like to invite you all to join the chorale in the singing of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and remain standing for the academic recession.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and to those watching the live stream. Thank you to our readers, thank you musicians, thank you to our conductor, Associate Professor Carl Crossan.
And it's been... Thank you, Carl. As I say, we should also thank the other Carl, so Carl Geiger upstairs too. It's been a pleasure to co-host with Dan tonight, and it's been a really wonderful evening. I'd like to thank everyone who's worked really hard behind the scenes to make this work. Most of them, as you'll see, are in the Santa hats around the place, but many, many people go to make this evening successful. I'd also like to thank everyone who's contributed tonight, my colleagues, our students, and of course you, the audience, for braving the heat. It's been really fabulous to have you here.
Thank you to you as well, Jenny. On behalf of the University of Adelaide, we would like to wish you, your families and loved ones a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. We'll see you again in 2019.